everybody, Josh Sigurdson of World Alternative Media here, and of course we're joined by author and economic analyst here at WAM, John Sneisen, and let's go into Japan. As Zero Hedge reports, Japan's second largest bank plans to plow 100 billion yen in stocks. As the article says, it used to be that just the Bank of Japan via ETFs and the largest Japanese pension fund, the GPIF, the largest in the world, by the way, had an implicit green light to allocate funds, in the case of the former created out of thin air, to equities. That is no longer the case, according to Bloomberg. Japan's second largest commercial bank, Japan Post Bank Co., has decided to follow in the footsteps of its giant peers and plans to plow a 100 billion yen, $904 million, directly buying stocks when it finds the right opportunities. Unable to generate required returns through conventional means such as lending, Japan's second largest bank by deposits, which currently invests in equities only through passive investments in funds, plans on becoming a giant prop trading hedge fund and aims to boost active stock holdings to several hundred billion yen in the next 5 to 10 years, said Katsunori Sego, executive vice president at the Tokyo-based company. Speaking to Bloomberg, Sego said that it's not right to only rely on passive investment for our stock holdings. At the same time, making the whole 2 trillion yen portfolio active would end up being passive anyway, so we need both passive and active portfolios to gain an edge from the current active investment. Currently, the bank, which was partially privatized in a $12 billion initial public offering, oversees 207.5 trillion yen of assets as of June 30th. Of this total, 66.9 trillion yen was in local government bonds, 55.3 trillion yen in cash, and 51.3 trillion yen in overseas securities, which include debt and investment trusts. And then just before we get into it further, guys, not surprisingly, as it says, yet another Goldman connection emerges. The bank's EVP Sato was formerly vice chairman at Goldman Sachs Japan before joining Japan Post in 2015. He told Bloomberg that the bank has already set up a new structure enabling it to directly invest in stocks. So, John, they give you a lot of mumbo jumbo in that article. It's a little confusing for most. So, can you go into this?
I'll break it down very simple. So,
yeah.
Remember how you had got the deposits. The old bank business is they have the deposit and then they borrow out a fractional amount in to car loans, to house loans, to business loans, and so on. That's their business. It's not to invest in the stock market. Stock market investing is for us as investors or the people on Wall Street, or if you actually invest in hedge funds or in ETFs or in mutual funds and so on. It's not for investing in stocks. Like now you're creating a bank that people thought they had their deposits safe in, creating mass amounts of risk on the volatility of stocks. It's insane. It's utterly insane. This whole thing that they're starting to do here now. Now it's not a bank anymore, as they said. It's closer to being a hedge fund or a mutual fund where you have just basically shares, your deposits in your bank account. So that it's terrible right now.
Well, what damage is this going to cause?
Well, the thing that's going to happen is you're going to have the moments. Before they used to have the savings and loans crises, and what happened is after that they were broken up. So there were savings banks and then there were investment banks. Mm-hmm. So the problem is now the banks can do whatever they want with your money, and they could invest in derivatives, do whatever they want with that capital that you borrowed to them. Remember, you borrowed to them. You never actually it's not yours until it's back in your hands again, because you're borrowing it to the bank when you deposit it into the bank, and now you're letting them go out and invest in stocks and all kind of other assets because of course the banks are not making any money on the deposits anymore. They're making close to zero, and with negative interest rates, they don't even care about that anymore. So what you'll see if they go cashless, they could just go out and squander your money and do whatever they want, investing in whatever they want with your hard-earned money.
And risking everything, as we mentioned so often. If your money's in the bank, it's not yours, it's the bank. So just imagine they go off and risk all of your deposits, all your money that you think is your money, but it's the bank's, and they lose it. I mean, there are certain ways of insurance to get
There's
some of that
certain
money back.
insurances, but yeah, but they're not covering like a big major bank failure. I talk about it in my book, Canada, the Greatest Economy in the World, how the CDIC only covers 0.39% of all deposits under 100,000. So it's time to wake up. A lot of you that think that, my money is insured through these CDIC or whatever, FDIC, wherever country it is, this deposit insurances that the government's supposed to have a fund to protect you. Wake up, guys. What's happening right now is these banks are getting more and more wanting to make money because they're not making money in their natural means, what they're supposed to do. So now they got to go out and bet all of your money onto stocks and other bad investments. And yeah, there you go. It's
game over. And we so often go into the amount of rigging in the markets, the amount of debt in the markets, the derivatives, just the central planning, everything. And this is another part of this massive agenda, which is going to push a lot of people into debt, because this is really risky. It's really stupid. And it also really changes the game for stock, for those that are actually investing as individuals in stocks as well.
Yeah, well, you got to remember, it's also probably another part of Bank of Japan has printed so much money and did all these bailouts of the stock markets now. So then now they have to tell the private banks to go out and buy stocks. So I think it's just a continuum of Bank of Japan's stock ETF buying policies.
Mm-hmm.
They can they limited the amount that they could physically do, and unless they want to go and basically own everything in the economy. So what they're doing right now, I believe this is just pushing the buck down to their banks, their friends, to do it instead of them centrally doing it themselves. So it's more hidden of what's going on in the economy.
Absolutely. Well, we will continue to break this stuff down, because it's so extensive, and it affects so many people, and it's always so volatile and dangerous. And as you mentioned in your book, Canada, the Greatest Economy in the World, there's a question mark there, because obviously it's not. And this kind of stuff is broken down as well. But also in your book, The End of Freedom, How Our Monetary System Enslaves Us, you go into this to some degree as well. And I really think that people have to start paying attention to this, because when we're looking at these banks that have so much power, and of course they always seem to be connected somehow to like Goldman Sachs or JP Morgan.
Well, that's the thing, because these guys are a clan. They work together. They are highly connected right now. They got the Treasury Secretary. They got the head of the ECB. They got the head of Bank of England. They got heads of all kinds of different central banks around the world. It's of course because they're the smart banksters, and of course they're a cartel that are spreading their wings and working together. We talked about, of course, gold money as well. We got a guy there as well.
Former Goldman Sachs boy. I call him boy because he doesn't like it.
But anyways, they're all spreading out all around the world. This big corrupt bank, and we talked just recently about in our video how the $1 trillion lawsuit that is hitting Goldman Sachs among others, because they're one of the always seem to be winning like auctions, buying bonds. It's because of connections. It's connections. And that's how everything work in the crony capitalist system, guys.
Yeah, corporate system. And I mean, as you kind of went into before, the cashless society, the centrally planned cashless society is a big example of how they're aiming towards this kind of system where they can push it out on a global scale through the SDR. And basically, as I mentioned, if your money's in the bank, it's not yours, it's the bank's. Well, if it's always going through the banks via legal tender laws, via centralization and digital transactions, and it's never yours, it's always the bank's. Your money is always owned by the banks. You never hold it in your hand. You are in perfect servitude to the banks because of that, and to the government. And we have to understand this and be able to be financially responsible and keep our money away from these pack of wolves, because this is the ultimate plan of them. They want us in debt, they love our debt, and they love to shove us down that bottomless pit of debt that I so often talk about. So we have to be financially stable, responsible, self-sufficient, and be able to prepare for ourselves, because if we don't, then we are putting everything into the hands of idiots, just like we recently talked about, these idiots that want to drill into Yellowstone supervolcano to let pressure out. They could kill us all by doing that, but hey, yeah, let's give all of our lives and put them in the hands of these idiots who think they know what they're doing, even though they have no idea what they're doing. This is exactly why we should be self-sufficient and independent instead of dependent on, like I said, these packs of wolves.
Yeah, here's a great analogy. So the free market economy is the buffalo, just roaming around, minding its own business, not doing too much, hanging out. And then suddenly a pack of wolves comes in and rips him down and just shreds him into pieces. That's what these bankster crooks and the government officials are.
Yeah, well, and even more so, it's kind of like cows in pasture, and they're going to get ground up into a bunch of meat, and they don't care because they got some grass to eat. They feel good. They're like, well, right now everything's good. I'm not planning ahead. I don't think ahead. If all of us teamed together and broke out, we could probably get somewhat far away from this farm. But no, we got the grass here. It feels nice. It's comfortable. I feel secure. I'm just going to lay around eating the grass until one day they pull me by the chain around my neck and bring me right to the grinder and kill me. So this is exactly the problem that a lot of us face in the monetary system and in the markets, and it's time that we start being self-sufficient.
Yeah, the bankers is going to bring us to economic slaughterhouse. That's
Absolutely.
What's going to happen.
So until next time, thanks for going into this with us, John. This is Josh Sigurdson and John Sneisen signing out from World Alternative Media. Find the truth, be the change. Like what you see here at WHAM? Don't forget to check the links below. GoFundMe, Patreon. We can't do it without you. Any donation is very much appreciated, especially as we are so vastly demonetized and censored by YouTube as they bring in the Anti-Defamation League to flag all of our content as so-called hate speech. Yeah, I know, it's crazy. Also, check our Bitcoin address in the description in the comments as well as on the screen for you to scan, if you please. And don't forget to check me out at Josh Sigurdson at steemit.com. That's steemit.com, the future of social media, where you get paid in cryptocurrencies, Steem that is, for your upvote and demand of your post. Until next time, check out this word from our sponsors.
Are you looking to exchange a large amount of US dollars? Don't overpay with the bank on currency exchange. Think outside the bank. Banks charge unnecessary fees of up to 3%. Truth be told, currency exchange with the bank will cost you hundreds to thousands of dollars. Start saving now. Step 1. Register online. Visit our website and click Get Started. Step 2. Book a transaction. Phone us for a quote and to complete the transaction. We'll need to know which currencies you are converting and how much. Step 3. Transfer of funds. Once you confirm the transaction, we initiate an electronic funds transfer from the account that you choose. Your purchased funds are then transferred back to you in the account that you choose within 1 business day. It's that easy. Start saving hundreds of dollars on currency exchange with CBCE. Sign up online or give us a call today.